All right, welcome to another episode of Key Biscayne Stories where neighbors meet neighbors. Today we have Luis Casamayor, co-founder of Republica Havas, an advertising and marketing agency, and Tank Brewing Co. Before we do that, we have a quick word from our sponsors. The Academy of Martial Arts in Key Biscayne, more commonly known as RDCA, is proud to have served this island paradise for 27 years. Join them for a free introductory class to kickstart your martial arts journey. RDCA is a family-run business headed by Sensei Robert Duzoglu with his daughter and son, Morgan and Derek, both senseis as well. They use martial arts, elite conditioning, and Life Quest, their guided self-enlightenment course, to forge a stronger you. With over 100 plus years of combined martial arts experience between the Duzoglu senseis, RDCA provides a holistic approach to self-defense, covering a unique blend of stand-up, close-quarter combatives, technical groundwork, weapons training, and traditional form. Over 3,000 students have walked through their doors and trained on the mat at RDCA in the last 2.5 decades. You can call them at 305-365-0129 or visit their website rdcamma.com for more information in the show notes. All right, Luis, back to you. How are you? Thank you for joining us on the show.
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
So we're excited. Tank Brewing. I think I came across that one when I was at the Viña.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the guy goes, we have a local brewing guy who started his own beer here in the Key. And it's like, what is it? Tank Brewing. So that's when I first tried your beer.
That's La Playita you probably had.
La Playita? Oh, man, did I just get confused?
No, it's correct.
Tank,
La Playita. The Playita is the name of the beer.
Oh, okay.
Tank is the brewing. Tank is the brewery. Playita is the name of the beer.
I thought I just got confused.
That's one of our 4 core beers.
Okay,
so
we have 4 different
4 cores that we sell on the market, correct.
Okay. So, before we talk a little bit about Republica, the marketing, and Tank Brewing, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you join us here in the Key in the first place?
Yes, I'll give you a little background. About almost 30 years ago, I moved to the Key, and I met what was going to be my wife. I met her, and then we ended up getting married, having 3 kids. I moved away to Coral Gables. And then, unfortunately, we got divorced and sold the house. And that's when I moved back to the Key. I live in the Sands, and I moved back about 1.5 years ago. And super happy to be back. I live in paradise. Like a friend of mine says, I live where people vacation.
It's true. And I think you and I met at a networking event in the Key, and I think it was Nick
Lopez Jenkins introduced us, correct.
Like, bro, you got to know this guy, man. He's got beer, the Key, he's got energy.
He's a dear friend. He's been a friend for 30 years. Yeah. He's awesome, and I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, Nick is cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So tell me, let's start with the marketing, the advertising and marketing agency, Republica Havas. You're a co-founder there. How did that start? Go.
Yeah, so I've been my father's in the printing business, and I worked in that side of in the business for a while. And then I started doing graphic design on the side, and I opened up my own graphic design studio. And then a few years after that, my business grew, and I started doing advertising and marketing. And about 17 years ago, I met with my business partner, George Plasencia, and we decided to start an agency, a full-service agency. And that's when we started about 18 years ago. And about 6 years ago, we sold part of it. We're partnered, actually, with Havas, which is a global agency holding company, and that's when we really expanded. We went global, and it's been great ever since. So it's been about 4 years ago that we connected with Havas. So now it's called Republica Havas. Before it was just Republica, now it's Republica Havas, and it's been going great for us so far. We're doing amazing. Business has grown, and that's where actually I met Carlos Padron, who's my attorney and a dear friend, and he wanted to start a brewery. So we joined forces, and together we started Tank. And it's been super successful. So when I moved to the Key is when I realized that Tank was not on Key Biscayne. So I made a big push to make sure that everybody has it in Key Biscayne. So we started with Viña. Viña was one of the first ones to pick us up. Then we went into Winn-Dixie. Costa Med has us. All the bars in the Ritz. Every single bar has our beer in the Ritz. And Golden Hog is now carrying us as well. And I continue to put it in other places. Also kind of off the Key, almost off the Key. In the Links, in the golf course, has us as well. And Kaya, which is a new restaurant right by the Marine Stadium, also has picked us up. And I'm still trying to get into a few other places to be there. The Cleat has also picked us up as well. The Cleat down, but I'm still trying to get into Boater's Grill and Lighthouse Cafe. But So far, so good. They've been very receptive. Everybody loves the beer, and it's been great. I'm sponsoring a lot of events on the Key. I did the 4th of July party. I did Dr. B's retirement party as well, and as well as several other. Anytime somebody asks, and we have the time and the energy to do it, we help sponsor, and we supply beer for anybody who wants to try it and check it out.
So you mentioned you had 4 types of beer, right? So what do you have?
Okay, I'll share. We have several beers in the tap room. We sometimes you have up to 18 different styles of beer, but on the market there's 4 cores. One of them is La Playita, which I mentioned before. La Playita is a Pilsner, really nice, easy to drink, great beer, refreshing. Have it on the beach. That's why it's called Playita. We have another one called El Farito, which is named after obviously the lighthouse. That one is an IPA. It's unique. It's bitter and hoppy beer. So certain people like it, some people don't. We have another beer called Loca, which is a low-calorie beer. It's a tropical blonde, and we named it Loca for low calorie. You'll see a lot of our beers are inspired actually from Key Biscayne. Farito, obviously, Playita, and Loca. If you see the packaging, it has a paddle boarder that we got inspired from just sitting on Hobie and watching the paddle boarders go by. And Loca's it's a slim can, and it's a low-calorie beer. It's only 90 calories and 2.5 grams of carbs. And then we have Freedom Tower. Freedom Tower is our amber ale that has a lot of flavor, caramel notes. It's fantastic. And again, you can find Freedom Tower and Playita in Winn-Dixie and also in Golden Hog. In Viña, you're going to be able to find Playita. That's packaged, so you can buy it and take it to go. And then in the bars in the Ritz, you'll find them all. In the rum bar, you'll have Playita and Freedom Tower. In the dunes in the back, you'll have Playita. In La Cantina, you'll find Loca. And in Lightkeepers, you'll find El Farito. So you can try them all. If you go to the Ritz, you can try them all. Just bar hop in the Ritz and you'll try them all.
I like that you have a blonde style. I lean to more like the wheats and the blonde type of beers. It just feels like this is my preference.
Well, I'll bring you some so you could try it.
Perfect. So why did you go with these 4 types of beer in the first place?
Yeah, those are the 4 styles that are most common, that people are most used to ordering or consuming. So we didn't want to come up with other specialty beers that people may not be used to it. So we saved that for the tasting room. We have a tasting room just west of the airport on 72nd Avenue and 50th. We have a large tasting room and a kitchen, so there's food as well. So you can go there, try the beer, order some food. We have great food. And there's pool tables and TVs, so you could watch. We saw all the NBA Finals games there. It's a lot of fun. It's a really large 25,000 square foot facility, so it's very, very big. You could fit hundreds of people. So if you ever want to go check it out, I highly recommend it. And there you'll be able to try, like I said, 16 to 18 different styles of beer that we may have at a certain time, that our master brewer is always experimenting and trying different beer styles. And we sometimes package some on some of those specialty beers that you could buy at the brewery. And those, if you like something you like, you would ask one of the servers, and they say, hey, are you packaging that specific beer? And you may be able to take it home. If not, we have growlers that you could fill as well and take some of the beer home with you if you really like it. We built a full kitchen. You'll see the beer. If you go during the day, you'll see the beer being made. If not, if you go at night, you'll see where the beer is stored, the big tanks. That's where the name comes from the tanks of the beer, where the beer is fermented and stored until we bottle it or can it. There we have food. We have a full menu, so you could have from burgers, some of the best burger in town. We have a guava burger that's phenomenal. We have chicken wings that are delicious, croquetas, even a tuna poke salad that's really good. So you can get, you could go from, the typical bar food and have a little bit of some healthy options as well. And then you could sample it with the beer. So you could we have these samplers. Carlos, my business partner, he's in the cigar business. He imports cigars. So you have a sample. It's actually in a cigar box where the beer is held. And we'll give you like 4 or 5 different samples of the beer, so you could try the different beer and see which one you like the most, and then order a full one. So it's a great place. There's a lot of TVs. There's pool tables. We're actually doing the cornhole tournament for the yacht club. They're doing a cornhole tournament. We're going to be sponsoring that as well. So look out for us. I think it's Labor Day weekend. We'll be doing that, which should be a lot of fun. So like I said, we have corner, we have kids, so it's kid friendly. So you could bring your kids and your kids can have a good time playing. Or you could just come, with your friends and watch a game. Now that we have Messi, you could watch Messi out there on the TVs. We have several TVs, really large screen TVs. So it's a great place to just hang out, drink beer, and have a good time and eat some good food.
Can people take a tour of the facility?
Absolutely. You give us a call and we get set up a tour for you, and we'll, the head brewer and the team will give you, we'll walk you around and show you how we make the beer, how it starts, throughout the whole process. We have a lab as well where we test every beer to make sure that the taste is consistent throughout every batch of beer that we make. And they'll walk you through the whole process. It's an interesting project. It makes you appreciate beer. It's kind of like when you go to Napa and you take a tour of the vineyard. The wine tastes better after you take the tour, right? Same with the beer. As you understand how it's made, you understand the uniqueness of each beer, and the beer tastes even better. So yeah, I would love to give you a tour, and I'd love to have you come over as well and
Thank you.
And hang out and check it out. I think you'll love it.
I look forward to that. Tell me about your role, because you have a partner. So what role do you play in Tank Brewing?
Yeah, ever since we started, my role, because of the marketing background, it was branding. We designed the logo, all the names, not all the names, but many of the names. A lot of other people have contributed to some of the names, but many of the names, the design of each packaging of the beer, you'll see the design, they're very unique. The packaging, you'll see them when you go to the store, you'll see the uniqueness of the design. We did that as well. And then all the marketing and help with the sales. So we support the sales team. We have sales throughout all of Florida. So we're hundreds of locations throughout Florida. And we have about a half a dozen sales team that goes to each location and helps push the beer and get it out there. We're distributed through Gold Coast, which is one of the largest distributors in the country. And they distribute our beer as well as other beers, but they're the ones that are in charge of getting our beer and delivering our beer. So the beer's made at our location. Gold Coast picks it up, takes it to their warehouse, and then distributes from there, kegs and cans. So depending on what, we have it in kegs, so that's why you'll drink it on draft in many locations, whoever has draft. And if not, you'll find it in can as well. And they handle that distribution.
So what do you like most about this brewing industry?
My favorite part, I walked through the Winn-Dixie, and it's really cool when I see somebody grabbing it from the shelf and putting it in their cart. You know that all the effort that you made, people are appreciating something you built and you started from scratch. And then also when we sponsor a party or when I'm pouring in an event and people first take their first sip of the beer and their face lights up and they just love the taste of the beer. It's a very rewarding feeling when you know that you conceive this idea and then you see it now to people enjoying it and appreciating it. It's a real big sense of satisfaction. And I think that's with anything. I mean, even, when you see you make a baby and you see him graduate, right? You have this sense of pride, right? You know that you did something right. And it's kind of that same sense of pride that you have when you create something from the beginning and see it, people enjoying it and people appreciating it. It's a very rewarding feeling. So I think that's what I feel the most about it. That's also my responsibility to make sure it's marketed and branded and people connect with it and people like it. I don't brew the beer myself. We have brewmasters that actually make the beer. But my job is to make sure you get it in people's hands, and it's been very successful. On the Key, it's been successful, and seeing people enjoying it, and again, we try to sponsor many events, so we try to get in so as many people's hands as they can, so they ask for it, and again, seeing their face when they try it for the first time, it's a very rewarding feeling.
So for how long has Tank Brewing been around?
Ever since COVID, I lost track of time, but it's been about 7 years that we started the brewery, and then it's been about 6 years, give or take, that it's been being distributed so that you could find it in bars and so on. But yeah, it's been quite a journey. It feels like yesterday that we actually started, but yeah, it's been almost 7 years. It's amazing.
Cool, because when I first, mentioned that I stumbled upon the beer at Viña, I was like, in my mind, I thought it was a new beer. I also have not been drinking a lot in the past because of some stomach issues, but I used to be a big fan of beer. But now I'm back in my beer game, much better. When I first stumbled upon your beer, I thought it was great to have something local. And I always support local beers too. So as you continue to grow, what does that look like?
Like I said, we're throughout Florida. There's still places that don't have us. There's still people like you that have not heard of it or that they just stumble across it and have. So it's continuing to build that brand and continue to be able to have it in as many places as possible. For example, Key Biscayne, there's still some places that you can't find it. So any of those that are listening that own a bar or a restaurant or a market here on the Key, just carry us, and you'll be surprised how well it sells. And just like as an example, when we first got into Winn-Dixie, the manager there, Jose, wonderful guy, Jose Yanes, he's a great guy. He was skeptical about bringing in the beer. Oh, sometimes we bring in a new product and it doesn't sell, and then we have it there, we don't know what to do with it. We've had to go back. We haven't been there that long. We've had to go back several times to refill and restock it. He calls me, he goes, "Hey, I ran out of your beer. I need more. Everybody's asking me for it." So again, seeing that is great. So I think that anybody who carries us is going to have that same reaction. So for those who are not carrying us yet, carry us, and those who are listening that go and consume, ask for it. That way they know to bring it in. It helps me make sure that they get it in. Ask for it. Even if you know that they don't have it, just keep asking for it, because it'll push them to bring us on board. So that's the Key Biscayne. That's what we want to do. It penetrate kind of everywhere that we are. That anywhere you can drink beer, you can find Tank. But as well throughout Florida, and then hopefully as well expand nationally. We're actually launching a new beer soon called Padron, which is a lager. And that's a very easy to drink beer. And it's a lager. It's what you're used to, pretty much whatever most beers are out there, right? And we look forward to that. We think that's going to be a big launch. It's actually named after Carlos Padron, the founder, and it's called Padron, Lager. We think it's going to do very, very well. So that's our next beer that we're going to launch, and we see that beer as a beer that can expand nationally and build a national brand, because again, it's a lager, which is what you're used to drinking. The Budweiser, those are all lagers of sold and so on. So we think that this can really take off, and we're going to price it a little lower price point. And not right now, all of our beers are craft beers, what you call a local craft beer. This would be more like a mass market beer when we introduce it. And I'll make sure that you try it so you could try it. I'll bring you some so you could try it. It's a great beer as well. We call it a very crushable beer, that you could drink a lot of them and not feel, bloated or whatever you may feel. It's an easy beer to drink. So that's what's coming next.
So one of the questions that came to mind is what is the process of choosing a type of beer or a taste? Like in this case, Padron. You guys, I'm sure, had a process in order to say, oh, okay, we're gonna name it Padron. It's gonna be a lager, and how does that process look like? What are some of the decisions?
Yeah, so there's multiple factors, right? It all starts with the brewmaster. He's obviously, like I mentioned in the tasting room, we have several different styles of beer that we're always coming out with, and he's experimenting with, and so on. So there's a process of making that beer, putting it in the tasting room. And then sometimes there's traction with a certain beer that people really love and that people are really gravitate to, and they're constantly ordering. So that's one sign that helps us kind of focus on a certain style or a certain beer. There's also trends that are happening in the market. So there's beer trends that happen. So you see that all the time in any kind of beverage. Sometimes there's more tendency to go with a heavier or and also seasonal. And then so if there's the lagers are kind of taken off, and look, we did the IPA, for example, Farito, and it went through a little bit of a lull for a while, and then now it's making a resurgence. IPAs are making a resurgence, and IPAs are booming now again. So there's a trend factor. In the tasting room, there's also the brewmaster that he makes a lot of decisions on what he thinks is going to do well based on the process. There's also the manufacturing side. How easy is it to make it? How long does it take? There's different styles of beer, expire sooner than others because you're using, wheats and hops and so on. So the style of the beer also affects the shelf life of the beer. So when you look at all those factors, you're able to kind of find what may be the next hot trend. That's why we did Loca, for example. There was a time when the seltzers, the White Claws of the world, right, were doing very well, and people were looking for a low-calorie option, low-carb, low-calorie option to drink. So that's when we created Loca to be able to balance out some of that trend that's happening, right? And that's how we make those decisions. It's trends, the brewmaster, and then what people like in the tasting room, and that kind of triggers us to develop a beer further and maybe bring it to market.
So out of all the beers that you're brewing, what is your favorite one?
Yeah, I love IPAs, or what I like. IPAs have a unique flavor, a little hoppier, a little bit more bitter. The flavor profile for me it's what I like. It kind of goes well with my style. And beer is interesting, right? It's similar to wine in a way. Depending on the lifestyle, the mood, what you're eating, you may want to pair it. It's just like wine does. You drink a white wine with a light fish, so it doesn't overpower. And beer is very similar. When you're drinking you may want to drink a light lager if you're outdoors and you're snacking on a light snack. But if you're sitting in a restaurant and you're having a steak, you may want to pair it with maybe like the Freedom Tower, which has a little bit more body and it aligns better with that. So beer is I think it's a lifestyle choice and what you're doing at the moment and what you're eating that you may want to pair the beer. So, and that's why I think, to me, the IPAs, you asked me the question, what's my favorite? I like IPAs because it can kind of cross over pretty much everything. You could drink it on the beach, you could pair it with food, and you could just sit at home after a long day at work and open up a nice IPA, and it just has the flavor profile and everything that you need to really enjoy the beer and enjoy what you're doing. So a lot of factors come into play when you're drinking beer and you select your favorite style. And, I can't wait to I'll bring you one of each so you could try it and you tell me as well what your favorite is. But it would be great.
I'd look forward to that. I want to ask you also, since you've been around in events, and that's when I first met you, an events, and you mentioned that when you sponsored, right, you serving the beer yourself and handing it to people, and it's okay.
We have several ways to activate. We have different setups. I think when times that I've seen you, I have the wall. We have a wall which has 4 taps on it, and we usually bring 4 different styles of beer. And yes, I am the one. Usually, I am the. We have other team members as well, depending on how many events we have. I can't be everywhere at once. But anything in Key Biscayne, I try to be there because I'm trying to meet as many people as I can. I'm trying to look at faces like yours and build a relationship. So I'm the one pouring the beer. I usually have help, but I'm usually the one pouring the beer, explaining the beer, and having you try it. And that's why I said before, that's one of my pleasures, is seeing people try it for the first time and seeing their face. That's something that I really enjoy. So I try to be, again, anything on the Key, and it's being sponsored by Tank, there's a 90% chance that I'm going to be the one pouring the beer for you. So absolutely. And I enjoy doing it. And you'll see me around.
So if we see Tank in the event, look for Luis pouring some beer.
Absolutely. Please do.
What other things do you offer at the brewery?
Yeah, one of the unique things about the brewery is, or as far as I know, anywhere actually, a brewery with a cigar lounge in there as well. It's together but separate. So it's not like you're going to go to the brewery, you're going to smell like a cigar. But right next door, we have a cigar lounge where you can order the beer, order the food, and smoke a cigar. You can pair with a great cigar. So if you like to smoke cigars, you can go to the brewery, order a beer, walk into the cigar lounge, order a cigar, and smoke inside in the cigar lounge. You can smoke inside. You don't have to go outside. It has the ventilation and everything necessary for that. Or you could also buy a box of cigars as a gift. We have a full selection of every cigar you could imagine. Like I mentioned before, my business partner, Carlos, he's in the cigar business. He's an attorney, but he's also in the cigar business. He imports cigars. And one of our clients, mutual client that we branded, is called Plasencia Cigars. And it's one of the best cigars out there. And Plasencia Cigars is something that he imports. And then we also did the design and the packaging for that. And within Plasencia, there's different styles of cigars. So again, you could pair it with the beer of choice, right? So a bolder cigar, you may want to have a bolder beer. Lighter cigar, you may obviously go with a lighter beer. So you can have that experience with cigars there right in the brewery and enjoy it in the comfort of AC and with good company. Just domino table in there. You can play dominoes with the guys and just have a great time. It's a wonderful experience to pair with the cigars as well.
Is there a particular rule or standard when it comes to pairing cigars to beer? Can I have, like you said a bolder cigar, a bolder beer? I have smoked very few cigars, so can I have a light cigar and a bolder beer? Is there a rule? Is there like a best practice?
It's funny because I love wine as well, and everybody, there's not really a rule. The rule is what you like, right? So just because you're having a light fish doesn't mean you can't have a nice cab. It may not go as well, but if that's what you like, then enjoy it. There really isn't a rule, but there's going to be styles, and the guys at the cigar lounge and even at the brewery, they'll help you, and you could try it, and you could taste it. The best thing is trying it, right? So you try to take a puff of the cigar and then try the beer and see what it feels like. So there is no rules. And if there is, I'm the kind of guy that likes to break them anyway. It's because I think it's what you like. Everybody's palate is unique, and what everybody likes is unique. So it's really how you want to pair it together. We'll guide you at the place, and we'll help you a little bit. But after that, it's up to you, right? So I think you make your own decisions, and that's what's great about it. It's a personal taste.
Awesome, Luis. Thank you so much for jumping on the show. But before we go, we have a Key Biscayne related question, even though we talked about the Key a lot. What is a perfect weekend for you and your friends, family in the Key?
It goes beyond the weekend. I think it's what's my favorite thing about being on Key Biscayne, because sometimes the weekend, sometimes during the week, I get enjoyed the same way I do on the weekend. But what I love to do is I try to wake up every morning and walk the beach and just enjoy the beautiful weather. I live right on the beach, so it's easy for me to just walk right down and walk it. So I usually go down and walk all the way to the lighthouse and then back. And you just watch the wildlife. Sometimes I see dolphin swimming in the ocean, or even I love seeing the sea turtle nests. Sometimes I walk late at night to see if I see any of the sea turtles hatching and coming in. But a perfect weekend for me, to answer your question, is walking the beach in the morning, spending the day in the beach, and then I live right next door to the Ritz, so I walk over to the Ritz, have lunch, come back, and then jump on the golf cart and go to dinner. One of my favorite restaurants is Costa Med or Kazumi. I love them both. Antonio's a wonderful guy. He also has our beer there as well. So check it out. You can try our beer at Costa Med, have a great meal, and have a great beer. So that's kind of like, and just staying at home, right? I remember when I lived on Brickell for a little bit when I first was divorced, and a weekend was always going out and and I don't want to call it partying, but going the nightlife. And now it's just the relaxation of being on Key Biscayne, right by the ocean, sitting in my balcony, smoking a cigar, enjoying the beautiful views. It's just phenomenal. So just living in a resort, or living in vacation all the time that's one of my favorite things to do. It's just the best place. To me, it's the best place in the world to live.
Luis, it's been awesome. Thank you for coming on the show and telling us all about Tank and a little bit about your life and what you do. We look forward to having more Tank in the future.
Fantastic. And thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this. It was awesome. And I look forward to seeing it on YouTube.
And remember, we can get it at Winn-Dixie, Viña, the Ritz, the Cleat, the Costa Med, Golden Hog, Kaya.
The Yacht Club as well.
The Yacht Club?
The Yacht Club has it.
Right.
I forgot to mention that too. The Yacht Club has it. And I think that's it. I think we mentioned them all. But ask for it. If they don't have it, ask for it. Yes. Keep asking for it. That way they make sure they carry it. Yes, please. Thank you. And thank you again. I really appreciate you having me on.